I'm Mandy Yarkich from Creative Matters, and you're listening to Creative Matters on Air, where I have conversations with new and established artists from around New Zealand. I love to listen to artists' stories and learn about their creative process, and maybe you do too, which is why I've made this podcast, to inspire, inform and educate. I hope you can take away something positive and encouraging from each of these amazing stories to help you on your own creative journey. Hi and welcome to Creative Matters episode 5. Thank you so much for listening. Today I'm talking to Liz Smith. Liz is an embroidery artist living in Muriwai Beach, Auckland, New Zealand. She also has a business called the Stitchsmith, which brings you fresh new designs for needlepoint, cross-stitch and embroidery kits and patterns. Most of Liz's designs are drawn from the wonderful scenery in New Zealand, and she is constantly inspired by the local flora and fauna here. She loves birds, and a lot of her designs feature the gorgeous native birds that live in her garden and in the forest nearby at Muriwai Beach. I have done one of Liz's embroidery classes, which I loved, and Liz has inspired me to try something new and recreate my abstract paintings with thread. Welcome to Creative Matters on Air, Liz. How are you?
I'm fine, Mandy. Thanks very much for asking me. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, it's so nice to have you here. So what have you been up to lately?
Well, I've had a very busy summer. I think I've been away just about every single weekend this summer. I've just recently come back from doing the Able Tasman Walk, which was fantastic.
Was it?
If you haven't been down there, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, we've just been down there, but I didn't do the walk.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I was really impressed with the organisation down there. I mean, it's not a difficult walk, and there's so many options for kids, older people. You don't have to put your pack on and trudge for days and days. You can just do half an hour, you can do 3 hours, you can do 4 days, whatever you like.
Wow, that's
There's a really good combination of water taxi services, overnight accommodation. It was fantastic, and to be honest with you, I think it was really good to do it when there were no international visitors, because I hear it can get quite busy, like Queen Street.
Yeah.
So I was pretty lucky to be doing it.
And it was out of school holiday time too, which is always good.
It was great.
Oh, wonderful. Great. So just to get us started, Liz, I'd like you to tell us about where you were born, your childhood, and if you were a creative Kiwi kid.
Well, I was born in Auckland, and to a very ordinary middle-class family. And in terms of creativity, for me and my family, it was not so much as being creative, it was necessity, really, because back in the day, we didn't have the option to buy cheap clothes like we do now. If you wanted something, you had to pretty much make it. So my mother was an amazing woman. She taught us how to sew, how to knit, how to make an amazing outfit out of a tea towel sort of thing. She was really amazing. So it was more out of necessity rather than a desire to be creative. She got us into all sorts of things. She bought a printing press. We did jigsaw puzzles. We played games. She was creative in that sense, but more sort of as an interest and as a necessity rather than encouraging an artistic side, I think.
Yeah. So sort of the practicalities of
making.
Yeah. Yeah. And
absolutely.
I guess it was that time. My mum was like that too, a real sewer. But she didn't really pass it on to me. So did your mum actually spend time sitting you down, teaching you?
Yes, absolutely. And I've got 2 older sisters as well, which was really good. But my mother was a great one for reading. So before TV, we didn't have TV till I was much older, this is another amazing thing about her, she used to read and knit at the same time. So she'd read aloud to all of us. We'd be sitting around on the floor. She would read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and all those sorts of stories to us while she was knitting one of us a sweater.
Oh, my goodness.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we grew up with that around us, knowing that all of that was possible. And, so we all learnt to knit. We all learnt to sew, did sewing at school. So we can all knit. I don't knit so much anymore because I'm busy with my embroidery, but I can knit, and if I had to, I could.
Yeah. And sewing machine kind of stuff. That sort of sewing.
And that's stood me in such good stead. Having those basic skills is essential. Yeah.
And did you go through that process? I mean, we're kind of jumping forward a little bit here, but did you make your own clothes at any stage?
All the time. When I was younger, all the time. My sisters and I, we all made our sixth form social ball dresses.
Wow.
I remember there's a woman designer called Jane Muir, who was very famous back in the day.
I remember her.
Yeah, she was famous for her dresses made out of jersey material, which, as you may know, is quite difficult to sew because it's stretchy. And I made this amazing, I can see it to this day, halter neck, jersey, long ball dress with pin tucks all down the front.
Wow.
Sewed every single one of those goddamn pin tucks. Some of them were a little bit wobbly, but,
How
So,
amazing.
yeah.
And what colour was that?
Pale blue.
Nice.
And my sister made for my 12th, my second form social, she made me a beautiful pink dress with dark pink ribbon, little empire line. Yeah, it was
Beautiful.
yeah.
So it was just part of your life, a sort of thing that you all did.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
But as I say, it wasn't necessarily to satisfy any creative urge. It was a necessity and a practical consideration.
Which is a reflection of those times, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And probably in those times also creativity wasn't valued as much. It was more about the practicalities of life. And what about
and just for people who are listening, we're talking about back in the day, which is, for me, is the 70s. So part of that hippie flower power, flower child growing up was fantastic. So there was a lot of freedom in terms, and the 50s and 60s were well behind. So we're going through that real freedom of muslin tops and,
florals,
Cook Street markets, all that kind of neat stuff.
Yeah, great. Yeah, it was a good era, good decade. So what was your dad doing? Was he creative, or did he have...
Well, he was a librarian, and his creativity was music. He was a fantastic singer. He was in the Dorian Choir, which I believe is still going, a very famous New Zealand choir, and he played the piano. So as little kids, we all learnt to play the piano, and we all had to learn another instrument. And my poor family, I chose the violin, which was just ghastly. But I gave that up quite fast. I was terrible at it. So we were musical as well, even though I don't think any of us were particularly gifted. We did have that background, which I think is another layer of education.
Absolutely. And just having that openness to that kind of creativity is growing up.
Yeah.
Music or art or crafting or whatever it is great.
Well, I think a lot of families... particularly sporting families, there's a lot of emphasis on playing sport, which is also really important. But sometimes that's done to the exclusion of the arts, possibly. And sometimes it's the opposite. Some kids are just art nerds or something like that, or they're in their bedrooms with their computer games. They're just focused on one thing. Whereas I feel quite blessed. I had quite a rounded education in terms of extracurricular activities. I was pretty terrible at sport, but, I did play it, and, so I had to go at everything. So.
Yeah, you're encouraged to, I guess. And so through primary school, you're obviously doing quite a bit of making. But then when you came to high school, were you wanting to do art subjects? Were you making that connection with the making and actually studying art, visual arts, or where did you go?
No, I never considered myself to be a creative person at all. I really wanted to be, but I never felt that I was an arty kid, not compared to some of the kids that I did go to art classes, but there were some kids in the art class who were clearly really creative, and I was just a very pedestrian plodder and just did what I was told and had to go, but I never felt that urge or that passion to explore that side. Other than
isn't it?
Yeah. So it's definitely something that's arrived later in life.
And so through high school, were you doing sort of other academic subjects, or did you have something that you were super interested in that kind of caught your attention, or did you just go through high school and head out like I did?
Yeah, I went through high school and headed out. I didn't go to university. I left New Zealand when I was 17 and went off adventuring, didn't really have time or the inclination to. I did do some knitting, made some ghastly sweaters and, as you do. But I didn't really have the time or the opportunity to do anything really until I got back from travelling. And
so tell us about your travels.
Well, I went to Australia first, and I lived there for several years and had a few different sorts of jobs in media and TV. And then I travelled all through Europe, as you do. I would do a few months temping in England, save up enough money to do a trip, so then go to Europe, come back, save up some more money. Mm-hmm. Ended up in the States for 5 years. I was working on charter yachts in the Mediterranean, which was Mediterranean, Europe, and the Virgin Islands in the Caribbean, which was marvellous.
Wow.
And then I thought, I got to 30 and I thought, I really need to grow up, possibly. I can't do this forever. So I came back to New Zealand and got a proper job and was in the corporate world for about 10, 12, or maybe 15 years or so.
Mm.
And during that time, I did start to feel the need to do something with my hands, especially when you're in the corporate job where it's all sort of, back in the 90s, it was all quite structured and,
What were you doing?
I worked for a merchant bank and which I really enjoyed. And in fact, that was the beginning of my exposure to art in New Zealand in particular. The merchant bank I worked for had an amazing art collection. So I was surrounded by Hotary, Chilcott, Banbury, the big names in art. Len Lai, we had a Len Lai sculpture, grass sculpture in our foyer. I was really lucky to see all of that firsthand.
Yeah, and you were taken with that.
Oh, absolutely. And so that was my introduction to high-end New Zealand art. And I started to become really interested in it. And, started going to the art gallery and all that kind of stuff. So that's where the germ of my appreciation for art came in. And I also had spent a lot of time in Italy and France going to all the galleries and the museums and really enjoying that, even though I didn't know anything about anything. Doesn't mean to say you can't look at it and be amazed.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had that appreciation that was that in your late 20s?
Yeah, early 30s. Yeah.
And then from there, so you said you were starting to make as you were working in the corporate world. So what were you doing at the beginning?
Well, I was too busy for the first 10 years or so. And then, funnily enough, I caught an inner ear infection and I was off work for 2 weeks because I was very unbalanced and I couldn't drive and my eyes were all over the place and I couldn't watch TV and I couldn't read. But for some weird reason, my sister bought me a needlepoint kit, one of an ermine, what's referred to as an ermine kit, which is a designer out of the UK. And it was a bunch of lemons and grapes, still life, quite old-fashioned, but I could concentrate on the distance between my eyes and my hands. For some reason, I could concentrate. My eyes worked at that level, but I couldn't read and I couldn't watch the TVs. But so this gave me something to do for 2 weeks. And so it took that long for it to come right.
Wow.
So I finished the first one in a week and my sister went and bought me another one. And so I did these 2 needlepoint kits and I just fell in love. And I thought, this is fantastic. I love it. I love the meditative quality of sitting there stitching. Had the radio on. It was wonderful. It was the best 2 weeks of my life, apart from the fact that I didn't feel great.
Yeah.
And so that was the very beginning. And then it
It's like the universe sent that to you.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
And your amazing sister supporting you and encouraging you down that path.
Yeah,
again.
yeah. It was great.
Yeah.
And so, time passed and then I left the corporate world and I thought, well, what am I going to do with myself? And I thought, well, I do want to get back into needlepoint or stitching of some sort. I didn't do embroidery at this stage. It was just needlepoint.
And excuse me, I'm sorry to be ignorant, but what's the difference between embroidery and needlepoint?
Yeah, I was just going to explain that.
Yeah.
Needlepoint is generally done with wool on a mesh canvas. And embroidery generally refers to surface embroidery, which is done with finer cottons, finer threads, and you don't necessarily have to fill in the whole background of the fabric, whereas with needlepoint, you generally fill in all of the background. So it's quite an intimidating task time-wise. You can't just do a little bit, you have to do the whole. For example, my cushion kits, which I guess we'll talk about a little bit later, are 40 centimetres by 40 centimetres, and you need to cover every bit of the fabric, which takes, somewhere between 40 and 60 hours. So it's not for the faint-hearted.
Yeah.
And which is why it took me a week to finish one. But I was doing it all day, every day. It was, but people who buy one of my kits might take them a year. They have an hour a week or something.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So, I caught the bug and I wanted to do some contemporary New Zealand designs, and I went round to there used to be some embroidery shops in those days. Now there's only a couple left. But I went round to all the shops and there wasn't anything of any contemporary nature at all. It was all chickens in a basket and puppy dogs
farmhouses
and flower bouquets and things like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is not good enough. So I actually made up some of my own designs. I wouldn't call myself an artist by any stretch in strict sense of being able to draw. I can't draw, but I can sketch something out and get something approximate. And especially with the tools and technology now of computer programs, I can do a squiggle and through Illustrator or InDesign, I can turn that into something that looks like what I want.
Yeah.
So I did some of my own designs, stitched them up, and then I went round, I showed them to some friends and they all said, this is amazing, you need to do something with this. And I went to the few remaining embroidery shops and I said, what do you think? They loved it, and it really grew from there.
And did they sell your kits?
Yeah.
At the shops?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I sell through, I've got about 10 retailers in New Zealand and I sell through a distributor in the States. The handbrake for me is shipping costs. It's just outrageous, So my overseas market is very limited.
Yeah. So the shops. So was it like 10 shops around New Zealand or around the world?
In New Zealand.
Yeah. And then did you have actual stores in other countries or was it more online?
It's online. Yeah. The distributor in the States sells to shops.
Right.
So they sell like a wholesaler for me.
Yeah.
And then they do direct sales as well, but other customers in the States will approach them and say, oh, we like the look of those kits, can we have some? And then they'll contact me and I send them over.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So we have to go back a little bit. So you made those kits and then how did you work out sort of how to put it all together as a sort of sellable product?
Yeah. Well, good question. When you're at the dentist or the doctor and you're reading Women's Weekly and you're reading these stories about these women who started making ice cream in their shed and fudge in their kitchen and all of a sudden it's a $10 billion business.
Yeah. You're like, whoa, that's easy.
Yeah, and they all say the same thing. If they'd known how hard it was, they never would have got started.
Yeah.
And ignorance is bliss. In terms of if you don't bother with the business plan, just do it. Because if I'd done a business plan, which I had no idea how to do anyway, I never would have done anything. I mean, it was really hard to find the wholesale suppliers because in the early 2000s, the internet was not what it is today, and it was really difficult. And particularly wholesalers weren't advertising their wares. You needed to know who to approach and what do you look up?
Yeah, exactly.
I need to find a supplier of canvas of this type. You look up canvas in the yellow pages and you get nowhere. So it was really hard.
So different.
And asking other people in the industry for help sometimes worked and sometimes didn't because I didn't want to give their secrets away, which that's fair enough too. So a lot of it was trial and error, and I wasted a lot of time and banged my head against lots of walls.
It probably wasn't a waste though, because it's informed your practice.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely, everything.
All the hard stuff is
everything was a
learning.
learning experience. So I learned a lot, and so it's taken it took a long time to get to a level where it's streamlined now.
And so the shops that you went to in the beginning, were they selling a lot of your work at that time?
Yeah. Unfortunately, with the advent of online purchasing, I think retail in general was in trouble, and particularly with supplies like embroidery supplies, because it's not something that you necessarily need to touch and feel. Particularly if you're an experienced stitcher, you know what you want.
Yeah.
You don't need to go into a shop. You just want to be able to buy it online. Like lots of us do our shopping online these days, and actual physical embroidery shops are just as much a victim of that as any other store.
Yeah.
There are still a couple in Auckland, and there's a couple around, there's a few around. They tend to have become more less specialised. So, for example, an embroidery shop used to be just sell embroidery stuff, but now they sell knitting yarn, they sell quilting material, they sell sewing machines. Sewing in particular and knitting has had a huge resurgence.
Yeah, it really has.
So these specialist shops have branched out, so they're now catering to a much wider audience, and they really have to, I suppose. They need to be all things to all people, and they become a destination shop.
Yeah.
Because, people like to love to come in and fossick around and look at all the buttons and the pretty colours.
And as you say, especially probably people who aren't as experienced or don't know the products as well or the colour names, and they need to go into a store. And there's places like Spotlight in New Zealand, which is not such a sort of boutique store, it's more of a chain store. Do you think that's been good or bad for the industry?
I think it's been good in that it's available. It's making some stuff available. Unfortunately, and no disrespect to Spotlight because they do provide a good service, the quality is not amazing. Their fabric, for example, is not top quality. It's cheap fabric. But again, at least it's something, and it does make it accessible to people who don't necessarily have the budget for high-end fabrics. The people in the shops aren't always necessarily trained.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't really know much about crafting. If you get a good person, it's amazing. But really, if you want help with something, you're better off going to YouTube. Because a lot of the ladies in there aren't necessarily crafters themselves. But I do think they provide a good service.
Yeah, definitely. There's a place for that kind of store, but it's not the same sort of specialty store, I guess, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. And then from there, where did you go? I mean, did you decide from the stores that you were going to approach other places, or you went to the wholesale then, and then I guess eventually you became online at some point?
Yep.
So when did that happen?
That was sort of in the mid-2000s, and I really struggled with the technology side of things. I tried to make my own website with Wix, and I was just really struggling. And everything was taking ages to load, and as it turned out, in hindsight, I discovered that my laptop was never designed or didn't have enough RAM to manage for uploading photos. No wonder I was having trouble. My computer kept crashing. So I put up with that for about a year before I realised what a waste of time it was. But by that stage, a lot of these template websites were starting up. So all you needed was some images, and they would give you the template, and you could just put the stuff in there. And I'm still with the same website provider. Shout out to Storby, they're amazing. And they keep introducing new features, so my website has become more sophisticated as I've gone on.
That's great.
Which I think is a huge help to people who are wanting to start out. All of this technology is so helpful. You don't need to be, because when you, as you would know, as a sole operator, not only do you need to be the creative person, you need to be the tax man, you need to be payroll, you need to be the tech expert, you need to be the supply expert, you need to be logistics. It's a lot to do.
It's a lot to take on, and it's hard always coming up with the ideas. Every now and then I might have a conversation with someone and they suggest something, and it's like, oh my God, it's like a little gem. Like, thank you. Like, it's so nice to have that from somebody when you work by yourself, you run your own business. And it's a challenge to learn all that kind of stuff, isn't it? But I find, I have tried having other people work on my website, but it's just, I'm not that kind of person who comes up with a concept, sends it to someone, and I need it straight away.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing all my website stuff by myself and social media. So did you feel that as well with a website? You wanted to run it yourself?
Oh, yeah.
At your own
pace?
pace?
And also, it was a question of money as well. I couldn't actually afford to pay anyone to do that stuff. So it's been a steep learning curve, not to mention all the programs like Illustrator and InDesign and Photoshop. And, I'm a master in none of those things. I'm just, a plodder. I've got a little bit of knowledge about a lot of things.
But you're obviously doing well because your website's great.
It's behind the scenes, it's a shambles, but,
It may take longer than necessary, but...
It does. It takes me forever to do things, but...
Is it getting easier?
Yeah, for sure. And also I like mastering something, and it's much, as you say, it's much easier for me to... It takes me a while to figure it out. Once I've figured it out, I can do it quite quickly rather than ringing somebody up or emailing someone and waiting for 3 days to get it back. It just doesn't work when you need something now. Yeah. So, and my business is never going to get so enormous that I can employ massive amounts of staff to do these things for me. So
yeah, that's good. And it's good learning. It's nice to be learning as you go, I think.
Yeah, well, it keeps you in touch with what's happening in the world too. Keeping up with social media, I think, is really important.
Yeah, and you're very good with that, I think. I mean, your Instagram, you use Instagram quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I go in fits and starts, and to be honest with you, I find it quite relentless. If you are going to start a business, you need to be prepared that is part of it. It's relentless, it's ongoing, and if you don't post for a while, people forget about you. And so you do need to make the commitment to yourself that you are going to post regularly. And I do fall down on that sometimes. In fact, a lot of times I fall down on it. I don't post once a week like I say I'm going to. But I do what I can when I can.
I think it's tricky. I think it depends on the type of business as to how easy that social media can be. With Creative Matters, there's stuff happening every day out in classes and, with the courses that we do and other stuff. So it's quite easy. There's a lot of material that I can use. Whereas for my own art Instagram, Amanda Yarkich page, it's if I'm not making, I feel like I've got nothing to say or nothing to show.
Absolutely. And with my embroidery, it takes me forever. It takes me hours and hours and hours to create something little. So I've got nothing to say. And then you find yourself, I started a blog many years ago, which I discontinued not long afterwards because I found I don't have enough to say. So then I have to spend a lot of hours searching the internet for other people's stuff. I thought, this is ridiculous. So I stopped that because it wasn't productive. And then fortunately at that time Facebook and Instagram were taking off. Not that this suits me a lot better. You can have a nice image and put some relevant text.
Yeah.
But even so, I'm very aware of, I don't want to, bash people over the head with it. Embroidery, I know, is a very niche interest, and people who follow me, that's great. It's not my end. My main aim in life is to make people follow me and get more followers and all that sort of stuff.
Although that could lead to more sales, I guess.
Yeah, it's a catch-22.
It is, yeah.
So I think the effort that you put in is rewarded by sales. But I've got quite a good Instagram following, but a lot of it's from America. And so they don't necessarily want to buy my stuff because of the shipping costs, but they're very supportive, which is also really nice. It's nice to get validation that, people like your stuff, that you're not out there in the wilderness by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So from that point of view, you feel like you are doing something worthwhile and giving people joy when they look at your images.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that American people are following you more than New Zealand people.
I get really lovely comments. Facebook, I've got different audiences, seems, and I think most people do, and this is something that, you learn as you go along. Most of my New Zealand followers are from New Zealand, Facebook followers are from New Zealand, and a lot of my Instagram people seem to be from other places.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the social media is a big thing, and I think, some social media expert listening to us talking about it would be saying, you should be doing this, or, you could be doing that, or yes, you could find posts that are educational or, adding value in other ways and not just showing your product. But, it's a big thing.
Yeah. It takes a lot of time. And to be honest with you, I'd rather spend my time making something. And I'm not a social media expert at all. I'm definitely not. I post when I've got something to post about. I send out a newsletter when I've got something to say.
Yeah, and that's good.
And then that's it. Lots of people I know and follow, they do something every single day. And I've noticed that a lot of it's quite repetitive. And it's a pretty photo of the same thing from a different angle.
Yeah.
And I think, great, that's good, but I've seen that,
not interested.
Quickly scroll
Yeah,
past.
and it still has to be real and authentic.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Instead of just thinking I have to do something and making it up and, chucking something on. Yeah. But that's a whole other podcast episode, isn't it? Talking about social media. So, you've done so well with your business. Did you actually have a business mentor, or where did you get your sort of entrepreneurial skills from as a whole, do you think?
Well, ignorance is bliss, as I said before. When I first started doing my first designs, it wasn't that had no fear of failure. I just didn't have very big expectations. I thought, well, I'll just put it out there, see what happens. And as I say, didn't have a business plan, didn't do anything.
So you weren't planning the big business from the beginning?
No, I just wanted to do something for myself initially, and it kind of grew by accident.
Which is good.
I did have the space and time to develop that. I was working. I wasn't working full time at that point, and my husband was very supportive of me, and he was very artistic himself, and he would tell me, no, that looks terrible. Those colours don't go together, and that sort of thing.
How did you find that?
Really good, because I really respected his opinion.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
I'm not sure if I'd be quite the same with George.
He had very good taste.
Yeah.
And I think when you're working on your own, sometimes you can get a little bit inside your own head.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need an outside perspective. He thought I was mad. He said, why are you putting all I was putting in all these hours, all this work, making no money. He said he comes from an opposite direction. He doesn't see the point of doing anything unless you're going to get rewarded for it. Why would you do all of that work for nothing?
But different rewards, I guess.
Different rewards, yeah. I was doing it because I just loved it.
Yeah.
Even though it was, a lot of work and a lot of stress because I didn't know what I was doing.
But then you got there and did all that learning, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And so you've got your business, the Stitchsmith. So you also have the classes that you do.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
So I teach embroidery classes, and I do those at my house out here at Muriwai, which I love. I've got I do a class probably once every 4 to 6 weeks. And I really, really enjoy that process. I get a lot of young women to my classes. These are the women that missed out on their mothers teaching them how to knit, sew, embroider, all those things, because their mothers possibly were busy out. They were told, don't stay in the kitchen, don't learn how to do all of these things because you'll get marginalised. You'll become a person who's just a housewife.
Yeah, get a career, go and be a whatever you want.
So those women were busy doing that, following that dream, which is absolutely fantastic. But their daughters are the ones that are coming to me now. They wanted, because of this resurgence in wanting to grow your own veggies, make your own clothes, knit your own sweaters, embroider little things for your baby. Those are the ladies that are coming to me because they want to learn all these things.
And I just think it's fantastic. It's awesome. And I wonder where that resurgence came from.
Yeah, I don't know, because let's face it, it's not cheap.
No.
It's much cheaper to go and buy something from Kmart than it is to buy fabric, buy a sewing machine, make it, spend some money on embroidery, threads and needles and bits and pieces, and spend the time.
Exactly.
Who's got time to do these things these days? So lockdown has been, ironically, really good for my business because people now do have time, haven't got time to travel, so what else can we do?
Yeah, and hopefully people are learning lessons about the way they live their life.
Absolutely. I get that feedback a lot. People don't realise how meditative embroidery can be. Knitting is very much the same. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this process was my husband and I lived in an apartment, and when we first met and I moved in with him, and he was a sport lover, so he loved watching sport on TV. He wasn't a big reader, so the TV was sort of on most nights. And if I wanted to be with him, which I did because I was totally in love, I would sit on the couch and I'd have this feeling, well, I feel like I'm wasting my time here. The sport's okay, I don't mind watching it, but I feel like I need to be doing something else. So that's when I started getting more and more into my stitching. So I could sit happily on my couch doing my stitching, and Rob would be on his couch watching sport. We could be together, love, you know, it was fantastic. It was wonderful.
Good.
So
that was a gift he gave you.
It was a gift, and it was very harmonious. I know there are people who go to separate ends of the house to watch their own TV programs, and they don't spend the evenings together. And this was our way of dealing with that.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and that gave you the opportunity to be making. Again, as you did as a child.
Yeah. So I've become more and more obsessed, of course. So I stitch every day, a little bit here and there. Yeah. So
I've seen. Just as long as I've known you, probably only 3 or 4 or 5 years through Muriwai Arts and that kind of thing. Through that group show that we have in this area, Muriwai Arts, I've just noticed. Well, most shows you you produce something that's quite different. So I think you're a real risk taker and a thinker, and someone who comes up with lots of ideas. You do a lot of observing what's around you. That's my feeling, and you've come up with some really beautiful concepts for embroidery, which seems to me quite original and unique.
Yeah, well, there's sort of two parts to my embroidery life, if you like. There's the business side, and the business side is very structured. For example, if I'm making a pattern to sell, then I need to be very structured about the threads I use, the colours I use, the stitches I use. I have to write instructions, have to be very clear. So I can't be very free. And I'm also very aware that my market is mostly for the beginners. So I'm very aware that I can't do anything too fancy or difficult or different because I need to use threads that are freely available from Spotlight, for example. I need to make it really easy. So when I'm designing a pattern and writing about it, it's very structured. There's no room for faffing about or being freewheeling.
And just a question, sorry to interrupt. Is there a market for making patterns and kits for advanced people?
There certainly are. That's not really where I'm at, because I figure that once you've been to one of my classes or you've done one of my patterns, you know enough to be able to go off and do your own thing, because everybody's got a different idea of what they do, what they want to do. Some people want to do snakes and spiders and I don't know, that tattoo art kind of style. Some people still want to do kittens and dogs. Some people want to do abstract. So for me, I reckon I would rather start at the lower level, beginner level, and give people the entree to be able to go on. I do advanced classes sometimes, but only if people ask me to, because I just feel that, once you've got the basics, you're free to go out and experiment and look at YouTube videos if you want to take it to the next level.
Yeah, and it's so nice that you're giving people that,
yeah,
and getting them started on their creative journey often.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it, which is, very structured, as I said. The other side of what I do now, which was very recent, only in the last few years, I'm part of, as you know, part of the Muriwai Arts Open Studios Collective, and that's a group of artists who live out here at Muriwai. And I joined that because I was kind of bullied into it by Joss Hong, who's a jeweler, and Judy Stokes, who was a photographer. And they said, look, you need to join our collective and need to start doing some art. And I said, oh, no, I couldn't possibly do that. And they just sort of kept on at me. So I did start doing some stuff. And my first exhibition was at the Muriwai Arts group show at the Surf Club. And I was absolutely terrified. When you're putting your work out there, they're like your babies, and you feel very, a bit nervous. Oh, people are going to hate this or whatever.
And when was that, Liz?
That was the not the last one, the one before that.
Ah, really? I didn't
was that 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Yeah. So was it? And you put in was that the Little People?
That was Little People.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those little people.
Yeah. And I love those little people.
You need to make them again. Bring them back.
Well, funny you should say that, because, and just sort of backtracking a little bit, this creative process of creating so-called art is much different than the structured side of my business. The retail side of my business, which is the kits and the passions and the classes, is very structured. Creating my own art is very freeing, and I love that about it. And I don't have to think about writing instructions. I don't have to think about what colours I've used. I just be, and I just stitch, and I just go off into a world of whatever. I love that. And so this is quite a new thing for me, is finding that creativity inside, because I'm so used to being on the business side. I worked for a merchant bank. My passions are structured. So for me to let loose, I'm actually finding it quite challenging and quite different to let yourself be free. And the little beach people that I did, I live on top of the hill, as you know, and I look down on the beach every day. And in summer, you've got the black sand and these little shapes are on the beach, and they're doing different things. They're walking their dogs, they're windsurfing, they're paragliding, they're running, they're lying on the beach. And I'm seeing these from a distance. And so the little beach people came out of that. It's just my view. It was my view of Muriwai. And
it was on black too, wasn't it? Not that
was
that
on
was
black.
necessarily the sand,
Was
but
on black.
yeah, interesting.
And so I got lots of commissions for those, and I did quite a few, and now I never ever want to do another one ever. Unlike a lot of artists who take one thing and explore it to death, I'm thinking of Alan Maddox and his mad crosses, and Gavin Chilcott, and he's a guy who does the chalices.
Not sure, but I'm thinking also of the Alan Scott. Who's the one who does the woven sort of lattice, wide rectangular? Anyway, can't think.
And Bill Hammond, who does the birds, for example, they have got this thing that they're exploring so much and so in depth, and they're still looking for that perfect bird painting, for example. And he does amazing work. But once I've done 5 or 6 or 10 little beach people embroideries, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something different. So
because
I
that's
can't.
That's your free space.
Yeah, and I have to keep doing the same thing again. It's not free. I'm doing it for somebody else. I'm not doing it for me anymore.
And it feels like the business again.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I know what you're going to ask me. You're going to say, how do you determine what you make? How do you know it's going to sell? And I don't know. I make what I like.
So you come up with ideas and give it a go.
Give it a go. And it's unfortunate if it doesn't sell, because it's a shame, because there is always that tension between wanting to make stuff to sell.
Yeah.
I've got to put some food on the table at some point, versus making what you like. And you just need to hopefully find a really good, happy balance between those two things. And you would be exactly the same.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's such an interesting one, isn't it? It's one that every creative person or artist struggles with.
Yeah. Because you've got to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
But you also there is an element of pleasing other people, and you do want that validation, and validation equals sales. So if someone's willing to buy your work, that must mean that you are a true artist, because people value your work.
Yeah, which is interesting again, is that how we should be feeling? I mean, it does, we all feel like that, don't we? But I guess, getting that confidence to kind of go there, but also go to the other place, which is truly for yourself, that's not necessarily going to be connecting with others in the same way.
Yeah, that's right. And I don't know enough artists, broadly speaking, and I think this is the other side of this, is the imposter syndrome. Like, for example, I've never trained professionally as a stitcher. There's some amazing embroidery schools out there. There's the Royal School of Needlework in the UK. You can do correspondence courses. Never done any of that. I'm completely self-taught. So for me to now call myself an embroidery artist is really difficult to do. And, some of the things you were saying to me before we did this podcast was, when did you start thinking about yourself as an artist? And it's really recent for me. The turning point for me was back in the day when we were allowed to get on an aeroplane. You had to say what your occupation is on the arrival form. Yeah. And I always used to put director because, I've got my own company. And then one day I thought, the hell with it, I'm going to put artist. So I put artist on my arrival form. So that was a couple of years ago. And I thought, and people ask you, oh, what do you do? I say, oh, well, bit of this, bit of that.
Yeah.
Now I say, oh, I'm an artist.
That's so good.
And then they say, what sort of artist? And I say, I'm an embroidery artist, and their eyes go blank.
Oh, no. We need to educate them. That's sad. Yeah, I mean, I think embroidery art, it is kind of a new thing, I guess, to be seen as an art as opposed to a craft. Although I think craft is becoming more accepted under the art umbrella these days. But it's great, and it's probably thanks to people like Joss and Judy from Open Studios who have given you that encouragement, sort of pushed you into that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't have done it without them pushing me.
Which is so good.
Yeah, because it's quite hard to drag up some confidence from nowhere, especially if you're not formally trained and feel like you've got no special qualifications.
Isn't it funny what qualifications do to you? Like, I mean, I'm self-taught also, so sometimes I think it takes more time maybe to feel like you're real, that what you're doing could be valued.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Classic.
And, as artists, we're all very sensitive, aren't we?
Difficult artists. Oh my God, yeah. And so coming back to the amazing stuff you've made since you've been an artist, you had the little people, and then where did you go from there?
So I have no idea where my ideas come from. I follow some amazing people on Instagram who are doing incredible things. And that's what I love about social media. Social media's got some bad stuff about it, but the good stuff about it is that people are willing to share their amazing work. And it might not necessarily be something that you aspire to, but it's so liberating to see these people all over the world doing amazing work. And so I get inspired by that, people doing different things. And I think, well, sometimes you can be a bit intimidated by that. Go, everyone else is doing this amazing stuff and my stuff's rubbish. So you're on this constant roller coaster of, but I just sort of try and keep it really local. And by local, I mean in my own environment, in my own space, and what do I want to do? What colours do I like? What do I feel like doing today? What I'm working at the moment is the Muriwai Arts group show is coming up in May. Can I give that a little plug, Mandy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And for that, I'm actually working more on technique rather than subject matter. I'm working on some really delicate projects, which is technically really difficult. And I'm exploring that side of things at the moment.
Wow, sounds
I'm actually stitching on organza, which is incredibly hard. And so I'm enjoying that challenge. So I'm sort of halfway through, and I'm just about to tear my hair out and start with something else.
That sounds amazing, though. It'd be beautiful. And is that the dead leaf?
Yeah, it's an extension of that.
So can you tell us go back to the leaf work?
So we had an exhibition at Arake last year as part of the Muriwai Open Studios group. And for that, I created some embroidered leaves. So I went through the forest and picked up a lot of skeleton leaves, and I cut those in half, and I sewed on half of the leaf to a piece of organza, and then I embroidered the other half. So the thinking behind that was regeneration, recycling, reusing things that you may think that they've got no more use in life, but here we are, it's lying on the ground composting away, and I've sort of picked it up and given it another lease of life.
I love that.
And so I was exploring those ideas. So I haven't finished with that exploration yet. So this work that I'm doing at the moment is an exploration of that. And I was fascinated because it was so difficult to stitch on this particular fabric. I thought, I've got more work to do here. I'm going to nail this. I'm going to get the hang of it. But I have to report that I haven't so far.
But I felt like you had got it totally nailed from what I saw.
Well, I'm happy with the way it turned out, but I think it could be better. So I'm continuing the process.
And you're using was it metallic threads or?
Yes. There's lots and lots of different sorts of threads out there. A lot of them are very specialist and very expensive, and because I do a lot of experimentation, I tend to buy just DMC, which is a very common brand of embroidery thread because it's easily available and affordable. Yeah,
that's I just felt like the decaying leaf, or skeletal leaf, with the metallic in particular, especially with the black linen background, and it was just such a striking contrast and so beautiful. I'm absolutely going to get one of those at some point, so you better keep making them. But I think they're so beautiful, and then the idea that you've taken them from the local forest is pretty special as well. Do you have favourite trees that you work from?
No, not really. I just sort of go foraging. The ones that I did for that series was a mahu leaf. They make really good skeleton leaves. Other leaves don't really decompose as evenly as mahu. Yeah. So they're the ones I use mostly. I've been trying to work with camellia leaves and drying them, putting them under a heavy book for a few weeks, but they never really turn out that well. And I've tried a few different methods, and I haven't really nailed that either. So there's just so many different things. But so many ideas, not enough time.
Yeah, but it's a process, and it's neat that you're experimenting and, trying stuff out and modifying and doing all that cool stuff.
Yeah, well, it's endless. It's endless number of things to try, and that's what I love about it. Is that it's frustrating, but also quite exhilarating.
But you do really interesting work, and I loved your people with the shadows as well.
I love those too.
Yeah.
But that's a really good example of work that you love, but nobody else does, or they didn't buy it, I suppose.
You maybe need to get it out more in different places.
Well, it was a bit unfortunate because COVID, we had that exhibition at the Kumeu Arts Centre, and it was, I think, the world's shortest exhibition because it was, I think we opened on the 23rd of March and we were locked down on the 25th. So,
what a shame.
So they'll resurface at some point.
I think they should.
They're in my gallery at home, so my next open studio, they will be featuring.
Well, that's good. And just tell us briefly about the Open Studio concept.
So the Open Studio concept grew out of the Muriwai Arts group show, which is held at the Surf Club every 2 years. And this is a little bit before my time, but as part of that, a number of the artists who showed at the group show also had an open studio. So the idea would be that you'd go to the Surf Club, look at the art of 40 to 50 to 60 artists, and then there would be a select few of those artists who lived locally who would have an open studio, so you could go to meet the artist, talk to them about their process, see how they work, which is a brilliant concept because people are so interested in how you work.
And the work means a lot more when you know the backstory.
Yeah. And so the formal Muriwai Arts Open Studio group formed a couple of years ago out of that, and now we are still aligned with the Muriwai Arts group show, but we also do other shows throughout the year independently of that. So last year we did a really cool exhibition at Orake, and we've done one at the Brown Street Gallery.
Yeah.
And we've also participated in Auckland Art Week. We've done that twice now, which was fantastic, really, really good fun.
So good.
We started doing this art and food and wine degustation event. So, you come to all of the open studios, have something to eat, something to drink, while looking at all their artwork and talking to the artists. And that was a ticketed event, which was really good fun.
Yeah,
we had a blast.
So good. Yeah, I did that. It's very good.
So you get on the bus and get driven around and you get the wine and
such a good
fantastic
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're looking to invite more, there's quite a few artists around this area, so we're looking to grow that group and be part of it, be part of local exhibitions. And we want to start exploring more ideas, maybe do something with the Kumeu Arts Centre. Our aim is to get art out and to make it more accessible, support each other in our endeavours, because being an artist can be quite lonely, as I'm sure you know. Yeah. So to have the support of friends who are in the same industry means a lot.
That's brilliant. And also having sort of regular events through the year rather than, every 2 years like the Muriwai Arts group show. It's just nice to have stuff to aim for, I guess, for an artist. It keeps you moving and
it's
thinking.
a goal, and if you know you've got something coming up in October, then that gets you into your studio and thinking about what to make. And
absolutely.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
Good. So so interesting talking to you about all of that amazing stuff. Where to from here?
So where to from here? That's interesting. I really want to continue with my classes. And now that I've been involved with the group for a couple of years now, I definitely want to explore more art, and it's becoming more self-accepting of the fact that I now call myself an artist. Yeah. I feel that I've given myself permission to explore that a little bit more.
That's so good.
For people who are artists who are listening to this, I'm sure they will understand that feeling. For people who aren't, they may not realise how difficult mentally it is to get yourself into a space to allow yourself to create and then allow yourself to put it out in the public without dying inside every time. Because I think we've all been in a situation where we've gone to a gallery and thought, oh, God, I could have done that,
Yeah.
But the fact is that you haven't done it and, this person has, and they put it out there for the world to see, and it's not up to you to criticise, just look at it, and you may not be your cup of tea, but someone has gone to the trouble of making this, so respect that. So Yes, I'm definitely going to work on that a little bit more, and I want to continue the business side of things. That gives me an opportunity to connect with my tribe, if you like, all the stitchers out there. I get a lot of people emailing me little questions, and I love the feedback on social media. So it's my little world. It's a little world, it has to be said. Embroidery is a very niche market, but the people who are in it are neat. I think it's like gardeners. Gardeners are all really nice people too.
Yeah.
So I've got my own little group of embroiderers.
Yeah, which is so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
It
I love
almost
it.
becomes like a support network.
Yeah, and people send me photos of my kits. They're halfway through and say, oh, look, I'm halfway through. I'm so excited.
That's lovely.
It's wonderful. Gives me a thrill. Gives me an absolute thrill
Yeah, I
every time I get
bet.
an email or a picture from somebody.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really special. It's
Yeah.
quite personal, isn't it?
Small things, Mandy. Small things.
Well, small but important things.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And I guess we need to kind of wrap it up. And I need to fire some quick Kiwi questions your way. So I think I know the answer to some of these already, but let's have a go. Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Keruru. This is going to be tricky for you, Liz, because I know how much you like birds. Keruru or tui?
Oh, well, that's impossible to answer. I love them both. I'm really lucky. I mentioned before that I live on a hilltop and I get regular displays from both. The keruru come flying past and they're so big and fat, and I think, how on earth did they stay in the air? And all of Muriwai is involved in a rat trapping program. I'm sure you're part of it. And since I've been living here, I've definitely noticed a difference in the amount of birds that are flying around.
Yeah, me too.
And I love the two because I've got lots of flax bushes. So I look out at my garden. I get up in the morning and there's half a dozen of them. I've got these snouts on the flax. So I'm sorry, I can't. I don't have a preference.
Okay, we can accept that answer. Favorite native. This is also tricky for you, I think. Favorite native tree.
Well, once upon a time, I would have said the pūtakawa, because who doesn't love a beautiful pūtakawa in full bloom? But I'm crushing on the kowhai at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I was down South Island a few years ago and went through, drove from Christchurch to through Arthur's Pass over to Westport, and through the valley there, all the kowhai were out in glorious bloom, and I've never seen anything like it. You get the odd one or two up here,
Yeah,
but you don't
see them en masse.
No, you don't see them en masse, but down there, they were all in the forest, and en masse, this stunning display.
How amazing.
And I've also was given a kowhai by a good friend in remembrance of my husband, so that's in my garden, and it's outside his fishing shed, so every time I drive past it, I just, gives me a little thrill.
That's so beautiful.
So, yeah, I'd have to say the kowhai.
Very good answer. That's lovely that you've got that. North Island of New Zealand or South Island?
Well, again, I'm torn because I love the North Island. I've spent a lot of time here. I'm from Auckland. But having just been recently in the South Island, I've loved that too. I love Queenstown. I love all of that. And there's so much of the South Island I haven't seen. My mother is from Westport. I've spent a bit of time on the West Coast.
Really?
Been up to Denniston, looked all around there. I'm torn. That's not a very good answer, is it? But no, I've got equal favourites.
It's a common answer.
And I haven't been to Stewart Island.
No, nor have I.
I need to go there.
That's probably the place I'd like to go to, actually, if I had to choose one place. Yeah. Interesting. Your mum was from Westport. Wow.
Yeah. Good, tough West Coast stock.
No wonder she was doing all that making out on the secluded West Coast. And last question, what is your favourite place in New Zealand apart from Muriwai Beach, and why?
Oh, that's a toughie. That's really tough. Because, of course, I would have said Muriwai.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't really know about Muriwai until I met Rob, my husband, because he didn't grow up out here, but he surfed here as a teenager and spent a lot of time here.
Oh, wow.
And then when he bought his batch out here, it was the first time I'd actually spent any time out here. The first few times I came out here by myself, I got completely lost. I just had no idea how to find it. It was just like this remote
somewhere
out there,
away from Auckland.
But of course, I've come to love it. And other places I love are anywhere near a beach. I love Ahipara. Those remote East Coast beaches are fantastic.
Yeah.
So coastal areas. Yeah.
Yeah. coastal, for sure. And what do you think it is about Muriwai Beach that captures you?
The community out here has been very welcoming to me and my husband, and we felt that very early on. Initially, when we were coming out here, we were spending our time partly in town and partly out here when we had a batch. Now that when we moved out here full time, we really got a lot more involved in the community, and that has been my saving grace. As you know, I lost my husband last year, and the community here is sort of so rallied around me, and I've been so grateful for that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
In addition to the inspiration for my art, having such a good, caring community, close community, you can reach out and ask for help.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have a lot of friends in town too, but it's a different feel there. Everyone's busy running around in town, but out here, even though people are busy as well, but
That's interesting, isn't
they
it?
always still have time.
That's right, yeah.
For the personal touch.
Yeah.
People drop food at your doorstep, and all you need to do is put a shout out, and there's people come running. And I love that. That's still a little bit of quintessential New Zealand small town stuff.
Yeah, it's a perfect combination in a way, isn't it, with that? But then the city nearby.
Yeah, we're very
and
lucky.
Then the beach and the weather. Yeah, love it. All right, well, thank you so much, Liz. I mean, we have spent a bit of time together now that I've done my class with you. And I have come to Liz for a number of, a little bit of help with my embroidery.
And your work is fabulous. You learnt very well. You were a very good student.
Excellent teacher. And I must admit, I've kind of gone a bit soft with my embroidery lately. I haven't really been doing it very much for some reason. I think the painting took over
Yeah,
a bit.
well, winter's around the corner, so you might find that you'll pick it up again in winter. It's a nice, cosy thing to do in winter.
Yeah, and I know that the last work that I was working on, I had the wrong sized circle thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't like having to move my linen. So I sometimes it's the right tools is important.
The right tools are important.
Yeah. And, we're in the Muriwai Makers group together.
Yes.
We meet once a month, and it's been lovely, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you better, and it's so lovely to hear your story. So thank you so much for sharing.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Lovely. Thanks, Liz.
Thanks, Mandy.